Sun potentially enters a new solar cycle with strongest flare since 2017. The Sun came out of its slumber, unleashing its strongest flare since October 2017. This happened on Friday. The eruption on Friday, spotted by the Solar Dynamics Observatory operated by NASA. Flares are classified into three categories, C, M, and X, and each category is 10 times stronger than the one beneath it. For example, X flares are 10 times stronger than M flares. Friday's flare has been categorized as an M-class eruption and did result in small radio blackouts, even though the burst was not pointed towards Earth. It was followed by a C-class flare around 3 hours later. NASA officials have said that the largest flare could be an indication that the solar cycle is becoming more active. According to NASA, sunspots are areas that appear dark on the sun's surface because they're cooler than other parts. These spots usually have very strong magnetic fields. Solar flares, on the other hand, are the sudden explosion of energy caused by tangling, crossing, or reorganizing of magnetic field lines under sunspots. And these flares release substantial amounts of radiation into space. Sometimes the explosion of energy is so powerful it can even impede radio communications here on Earth. The sun's magnetic field goes through a process known as solar cycle, approximating every 11 years. Its north and south magnetic poles switch places. As the sun moves through its natural 11-year cycle, in which its activity rises and falls, sunspots rise and fall in number as well. NASA and NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, track the sunspots in order to determine and predict the progress of the solar cycle and ultimately solar activity. Concurrently, the scientists are paying close attention to the sunspot number as it's key to determining the dates of solar minimum, which is the official start of solar cycle 25. And this new sunspot activity could be a sign that the sun is possibly revving up to the new cycle and has passed through minimum. This is what NASA wrote in its May 29 news release. NASA also noted that it takes at least 6 months of solar observation and sunspot counting to determine if the sun passed through a minimum and is starting a new cycle. NASA explains because that minimum is defined by the lowest number of sunspots in a cycle, scientists need to see the numbers consistently rising before they can determine when exactly they were at the bottom. That means solar minimum is an instance only recognizable in hindsight. It could take 6 to 12 months after the fact to confirm when minimum has actually passed. So it could be passing now, as we can see. This is on Sputnik News. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.